Haha. Got my microphone to work here. I'm back. Hold on, let me check on a couple of things. It has been a while since I have streamed, so it has been some time. But we're gonna have some fun today. We're actually gonna draw some stuff, so I'm excited for that. I'm gonna check and make sure all of my cameras and everything are set up. But yeah, thanks for dropping by. It is art challenge time. So BRB for like 2 seconds. Alright, there we go. Should be able to hear that music and me. I don't know what was going on with that, but thanks for coming in and lurking for a couple of minutes while you do getting ready for the day. I have just gotten ready for my day. Did a shave and everything. Let me swap over to cameras. So, got a couple different camera setups. Face cam. Hi, there's me. And then I set up a better camera setup so that you can see what I'm doing here. So you can see me. Nice to see you again. And you can see what I'm drawing. So I'm actually doing some traditional art, which I normally don't do frequently on Twitch or just online at all anywhere. But, you know, in the spirit of the season, Inktober is a thing. I'm not actually doing Inktober because don't like Jake Parker, but I am going to be doing my own kind of version. I'm blending OC-tober and another drawing challenge that I've given to myself, which is kind of a secret, so I can do some ink drawings that are real nice and clean and everything, because every time I try to do Inktober, I always end up overworking myself, and this year I just want to draw stuff that makes me happy and not sit here and like pretend that I'm gonna do amazing, you know, beautiful ink drawings or whatever. I just want to draw what I want to draw. So I've gotten out some of my supplies. You can see these here. You can also see some of my cords. This setup is new, so I am still fiddling with how I'm going to set everything up here so people can see what I'm doing. Because currently I'm not the biggest fan that this is tilted, but this is the only way that I can draw on here. So it's gonna be a learning curve getting back into streaming and also getting back into like setting up my streaming setup, because it's way different setting this up for drawing traditionally as opposed to drawing digitally how I usually do. So, but yeah, I'm going to try to get into this while I hang out. So the drawing challenge that I have decided to give to myself is a deck. I've always wanted to make a tarot deck, but I'm going to eventually, and I've made half of one before. So I've made half of the major arcana, and it was fun. It was nice, but I never finished it. I got really in my head about it and just couldn't finish it. So I have wanted to make one for a while, and I've wanted to make one that's D&D related for a long time. So this is the year, I guess. And I've told myself that I'm going to make a deck of many things instead of a tarot deck, because it just sounds like the right thing to do. I'm DMing a couple of games recently, and I'm just big into that nerd life right now. So I really want to make a deck of many things. And I figure at the end of the month, I should have 30 cards, which is more than enough for the main cards in the deck. And yeah, so I think it's going to come out well. I think I'm going to like working on it and doing the illustrations, because the prompts for the illustrations, they're one word, just like Inktober used to be. And they're kind of like fun conceptual ideas, whereas sometimes Inktober would go conceptual with their prompts, and sometimes they would choose like very literal prompts, or prompts that it's hard to think outside the box with, and that inconsistency always bothered me. As much as I enjoyed doing a drawing every day for a month, it did bother me quite a bit that whenever I did draw those prompts, that I would like find myself wishing like, oh man, if only I could like think outside the box or draw something interesting or something that sparks my brain more than just whatever the prompt said to draw, you know. And it became really hard to get motivated to do any Inktober drawings, because I would always think, well, I'm not just going to draw exactly what the prompt says, because if I draw exactly what the prompt says, then it's not going to be any better than anyone else's, and it's not going to be fun for me because I'm just taking instructions from a prompt list. Whereas this, it's like, I already wanted to do a deck, and I've already wanted to stylistically see how that looks in my new kind of drawing style. And I've also always wanted to work with these like very vague kind of prompts. So I'm excited to get into it. But this is day one. The line for the deck, or the word, I guess, is Vizier, which is a kind of fortune teller, magic man, overseer, like Jafar from Aladdin, and usually like an advisor to a king and that sort of thing. I wanted to go kind of high fantasy and go magical with it, and I'm just like finishing up the sketch I already had down. I'm not going to be doing the sketches on stream. I promise if I try to do that, I will overwork myself, because I will be here for several hours. Usually these sketches, I do them digitally and then transfer them onto paper, either by printing them. This one I just redrew, because I trusted myself and I knew that I could redraw it fast enough. But I prefer to sketch digitally if I'm going to ink something, especially if I'm using the paper that I'm using here, which is really expensive Arches paper, so I don't want to waste that. So I always just, ink after I've printed out the sketch. It's easier for me. But I know plenty of people who will just draw directly on Arches paper, and that's something I've never been brave enough to do. It's so pricey. It's like $30 for a block of this, and I buy the watercolor paper, so it comes in these like sealed blocks that you have to tear paper out of if you want to use single sheets like I always do. And you tear the paper out, and it comes with only like 20 sheets for $30. So it's expensive, very pricey, which is also why I tend to, for these like drawing challenge things, like last year's drawing challenge when I did OC-tober, I tend to do very, what's it called, like small, very like minuscule work. I work with a pencil. I don't know if you can see it on this camera, if it'll focus on it, but it probably won't focus, buddy. But if I can get it to focus, you can see how, there we go. I work with a pencil that is a 0.3 millimeter for this. It is very, very tiny. And I've worked like that for everything that I do for a long time, but it really comes in handy with this. And then the same with the inking pens that I use for things like this. The inking pens that I use are 0.3 and 0.5 for small lines and stuff like that. So it becomes very, very tiny, very fast. But it's a good tiny because it forces you to actually think about where you're placing your shadows and your lines and stuff, so it's all readable. Which is why these challenges are really good for your brain, for art. A lot of people, especially in recent years, have come out and been like, nobody should do drawing challenge because it's so much work and because it's burnout and everything. And like, there is some truth to that. You do get burnout slowly. And there has been many years where I have gotten burnt out as well from trying to do these challenges, especially immediately following Inktober. I would get extremely burnt out and wouldn't be able to work on anything else. But I also think that there's something to be said for practice, and I think that a lot of artists who criticize drawing challenges like this could possibly benefit from the practice. Not saying that anyone is bad at art or, anything like that. Every artist can benefit from practice, but I think that a lot of the time the fight against drawing challenges is usually because people don't want to do the practice. Because, like, I hated this when I was in art school. I hated being told that you should draw every day because I was like, there's no possible way. I have to feed myself. I was working a part-time job. I, had a lot of responsibilities. And, like, looking back, it was a true thing that I should have been doing the entire time. I should have just been drawing every day, even if it was something small. Like, even now, I work a part-time job, a different one, but even now in that job, when I'm not doing anything and I'm just like standing idly, I've gotten all my work done, but I still need to be there because I'm a teacher, I will draw on like little note cards or little sticky notes and leave them around the studio because it is something to occupy my hands. But yeah, you should draw every day if you want to get better at art, even if it's just sketches in your sketchbook. It's worth the time. But oh yeah, that's the other thing. So I've been gone from Twitch for about 3 months now. I dropped off of Twitch during, what was it, July? either July or August, I stopped streaming, like consistently streaming. And in that time, the reason why I stopped streaming, I did get this part-time job working at a studio, which has been very fun. It's been like a good experience. It is part-time, so it's not like, oh, I've got a full-time job, I'm leaving art or anything like that. Nothing to worry about. But it's been a fun job where I teach. I teach art basically, and just like imagine Bob Ross, and that's essentially what I do. I like teach weekend art classes to people who want to learn the basics of like how to paint. Essentially, it's like a painting studio, and it's real fun. It's been an interesting experience getting into like teaching, and getting back into those parts of my like experience, I guess, getting back into going outside, being social, all of that stuff. But it's been interesting but also fun, and that is why I stopped streaming for a certain amount of time, because I needed time to reschedule myself, get myself back into the groove of things. I have like the terrible autism mood where if something in my routine changes, I freak out for a couple of months and cease functioning. So that was a change in my routine. Not a big one, but a change that my brain needed to get used to. So I gave myself the time. I told myself I would take a break from Twitch, and at first I was like, break's only going to be a month. I'll take a month off. I'm not going to announce it because that'll stress me out more. And then a month turned into 2 months, into 3 months, and then I decided I was going to do drawing challenges for October. And when I made that decision, I decided I'll come back to Twitch and I'll stream what I'm drawing for the fun of it. And I'm not regretting that decision at all. I like streaming and being online when I'm doing art. It keeps me accountable, keeps me actually making things. But with that said, I know that currently I have some very long outstanding commissions that need to be done and some other things like that. Those things, the reason they're not done is because of the new job, but they should be done soon. But that's been kind of on my mind recently because I get into these, like, I don't know if anyone else who has like mental health issues gets into these sort of traps or like catch-22s, but I got into this like trap for myself where I told myself I could not stream until I was completely done with all of my commissions. And then I told like, in the same breath, I was like, well, I can't do commissions because I'm not happy, because I'm not making art that makes me happy, and I'm not, being out there and stuff. And then that just like built up where I couldn't work on anything because I was at new job most of the day. And then when I got home, I was like, all I want to do is work on stuff that makes me happy, but I'm not letting myself work on stuff that makes me happy because I know I have outstanding commissions to do, and it just like trapped me in this loop, this horrible hell loop of like, I have to focus on commissions or I'm not actively making art enough, It sucked. It was not fun. It was not the best thing to convince myself of, but it slowly over time you kind of get better and better with this sort of stuff. What is going on with my audio? Hold on. This might be loud for a second, so I can get there we go. Music 1. There we go. Now it's playing. I don't know what's going on with that, but occasionally my music audio will be rude and not capture. So I don't know why, but sometimes the music audio doesn't like to be nice to me. So if the audio is weird or anything like that, just let me know. Like I said, new setup, so my mic is in a new place. I'm like still dealing with trying to get my music to capture on the right screens and all of that. So sorry about the shuffle. I should have this ironed out by the next time I stream, which will be tomorrow. And if it's not, deal with it. No. But yeah, life has been good other than being in that catch-22. I can feel myself being pulled out of it now. I can feel myself getting better, which is always a good feeling to have when you've had long-running mental health issues. That feeling of like, oh, here comes the light, here comes the good parts. So I'm excited for those. I hope it is getting better. I do have to teach later today, which is gonna be a real fun time. I just did the painting that I have to teach last night and did all of the little like side things that I have to do for that. Basically, I have to draw the painting for people, give them like a something to go off of in the beginning, especially if we're doing like people or anything that's very hard to draw. My studio draws it for them initially so that they don't have to worry about it and fret and everything. Usually people come to these classes to have a good time. It's like adult painting classes, so they're you know, a place for people to relax and hang out and everything, and no one wants to be stressed out over, oh god, how do I draw a nose, you know, when they're hanging out with friends. So we draw it for them. So I did all of that last night for this class, and it was a fun painting to do, so I'm excited. But yeah, I have to do that at 9 p.m. But I will not be streaming that late, so it's not like it's gonna interrupt the stream. But that's the reason why I am now streaming earlier in the day. I have decided to stream early in the day so that I can be free later in the day when I need to do classes. Alright, I guess I need to stop stalling and actually get in here with some ink. I'm gonna shift the microphone, sorry about that, so that you can still kind of hear me while I am doing the drawing. And I'm going to shift camera a bit. I'm going to turn it this way and down. Boop. There, you should be able to see me now. Let's go up a little bit more. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, sorry if I'm like in and out of frame as I do this, because again, new setup. But yeah, I'm gonna go in here and start doing some inking. The pens that I use usually for traditional inking are a very popular pen that a lot of comic artists use. This is the Tombow brush pen. It is a really, really nice pen. Oh, it almost focused there for like 2 seconds. But it comes with like a brush tip, and I have both styles of it. So there's the green one, which has a very wide tip, and then there's the blue one, which usually has a very small, more chiseled, narrow tip. And again, it's not going to focus on anything I'm doing, but yeah. So I have those two, and I've also got, like I said, really small pens, these ones, the Pentel little liner pens, and I have these in 0.3 and 0.5, and I think I have a 0.7 here, alongside my trusty little Stabilo pens here. I use those to add in color. I'm not even sure if I want to do color with this, because I'm planning on doing this as a set, as a card set, and the card set, the way I want it to work is, obviously this is a like hexagonal shape here, so I'm gonna do the drawings on these hexagonal shapes, but I want the cards to actually be kind of tarot card style like this, and then to have the hexagon sort of at the top here, and then the information of the thing, you know, down like that. So I don't know if I'm gonna be doing any color or anything like that, because I feel like doing color for a drawing like this would kind of ruin being able to print it like this on a card. So I don't know. I might not do any color. I might just go in here with inks, at least for today. If I want to add color later, I will, but I might just ink everything right now. So I'm gonna start in, let's grab a really small but not too small pen. Where's my, are these all 0.3s? I think they are. I think I just grabbed 0.3s. Of course I did. Perfect, great, awesome. I'm just gonna use a 0.3, why not? We're here. We're here already. But yeah, I'm gonna start doing some inking styles that I like to do. One thing that I always tell people when they're about to start inking is warm up your hand. This is for digital and traditional art, but I always like to do some little strokes. This is why I have this top part taped off here, so that I can do some little like small inking strokes, sort of get my hand used to holding a pen. And I would be using a brush and a nib, but for really easy inking and for speed purposes, so I can do this quickly, I'm just gonna do it with a pen. But maybe throughout the month I'll do some like inking with some actual utensils, some real utensils. Stuff down a little bit. But yeah, doing some warm-up stuff. I hope everyone's October is going well. Mine has been a little hectic, but like in a good way, not in a bad way. So I've been okay with that. I've been like, I'll deal with it. I'll deal with hecticness. I've got some really fun announcements to have later in the month. But for right now, we just have this. I also have a really fun, I'm gonna take off my wrap that I usually put on my hand. Because it makes it a little bit harder to rest my palm against everything, and I'm going to, instead of having the wrap on, I'm going to put on my gloves. So let me grab those. There we go. I'm really prone to carpal tunnel, so I always put on gloves. I used to wear gloves a lot for digital art as well when I was streaming earlier in the year, but now you should be able to. I just wear copper tone gloves for art because they make it so that my hands don't freeze up, so I can actually paint and teach classes later in the day. Alright, let's go in here. So I think first and foremost I want to decide what kind of strokes I want to use for some of these areas that I've like inked out or like sketched out. I think the easiest thing to do would be to decide what the background is going to look like, and I think I want the background to be black, just straight black. So I'm going to indicate that for myself by making X's around here. This is something that in comics industry we do to sort of tell our inkers that we want an area to be filled in entirely. And I think I'm gonna do that for myself just so that I remember that's what I want. And then if that's the case, then these wings, I don't know how much of this you can really like make out just from the sketch, but these are wings of like different owls and birds and things back here. I think those I'm going to ink in with some like straight lines, because I think it'll look nice. But first, I'm going to fill in that background because I think that's the decision that I just made. So I'm going to take my big Tombow pen. Now these pens, really good for backgrounds, not so good for a lot of other things. I'm just going to go in and trace around the outskirts of this background, and I can go back in and use a ruler to make this a little bit more seamless, but for right now I'm just going to go almost up to the line that I have for the background, but not fully breach it, so that when I come back in with a ruler I can even all of that out. But yeah, I've been also trying to figure out what I'm going to wear for Halloween. It is one of my favorite holidays, hands down. I shouldn't even say one of, it is my favorite holiday, period. I love Halloween. It is the best holiday ever. It's the only holiday that I ever like get super excited about celebrating. So I've been trying to decide what I'm going to wear, and normally, since I'm a cosplayer, I normally wear some sort of cosplay thing, and it's normally something that's like, you know, easy to recognize or fun, some sort of like fun or punny little thing or something, especially for Halloween itself, because I could wear a really elaborate cosplay, one of the ones I've built, like Magic Brian or something like that, but I feel like it's not the right place. Like, those belong on the con room floor, and Halloween is the place for fun and games and chuckles. But I have cosplayed on Halloween before. A couple years ago, I cosplayed Uta from Tokyo Ghoul, which is very theme appropriate. And I've done, last year I was the medicine seller from Mononoke, which is a horror anime based on a horror manga. And I've been thinking I might do like a Junji Ito thing this year. I thought that would be kind of fun. I also thought it would be fun to make an entire costume of Pantone swatches, because I like the idea, kind of like how people make duct tape clothes, like duct tape dresses and stuff like that for prom. I've been thinking that an entire Pantone swatch outfit might be very entertaining. So, but I'll keep you posted on what I actually decide to do. Usually my my costume ideas come together around the 14th or 15th, because that's when I get payday, and that's when I can usually buy the supplies to make it. And then, because I have ADHD, I purchase the supplies and then I hyper focus and I make the costume in one night usually. But not always. That's how I function on Halloween costumes. On cosplays, it's more of like a long running thing. But on Halloween costumes, if I buy stuff to make a costume, like, I'm making that costume the night I buy those things. I also bought some really adorable Halloween themed like printed fabric from Joann Fabrics, because whenever they have Halloween printed fabric, I have to go and buy some, and it's adorable. And I've been thinking about making some dice bags out of that, so I'll probably show those if I ever get those done. But just like, I just want to make cool stuff this October. This October is the, like, last year was the year of, oh man, I'm sad I can't go anywhere, I can't do any parties, and I can't like dress up. This year, I don't even care that I can't go anywhere. I'm probably going to be working on Halloween Day anyway. I just want to make cool things. I just want the spooky season to be fun and creative the way that it used to be when I was a child, you know? So, But yeah, I think this, doing the black background, is exactly what I needed to do. What time is it? Okay, it's almost 11. That's not bad. We've been here chatting for about an hour. Well, a little less than an hour, considering I was on here a little late. I'm still deciding on what time frames I'm going to be doing for stream. If I'm teaching classes, they always happen post noon, usually. It's very rare that I'll have a morning class, and if so, that's like 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. or something. But yeah, all of my classes happen post noon, post 12 o'clock, which means I have to start streaming in the morning, which isn't a bad thing. I don't hate that, but it does mean that over time, I am probably gonna want my stream to be at a regular time slot, especially when October ends and I'm no longer doing daily streaming. I'm going to want like a regular morning slot. So October is kind of my way of trying to figure out what times work for me. Obviously today I woke up very early to stream today, and I'm not certain if I like 10 a.m. or not, but 10 a.m. is the only time that gave me like a couple hours before I would be normally called to work. I am working today, but I'm working late, so I don't have to worry about being called in at noon today, but it is kind of a troubling thing to try to plan around because I don't have regular hours at this place. I kind of just take classes that they assign me to, so it's not like I go in at a certain time in the day and then have class until a certain time in the day every day. It's like I go in and I go, okay, you know, what days of this month do you have classes for that I could teach, you know? But it works out because I have a rather open schedule since I mostly do freelance otherwise. It just doesn't work out for something like streaming, where normally you want to have like a regular time slot. I've never had regular time slots for anything. Oh, I didn't grab my Posca markers before I sat down. Crap. Oh well. I'll grab them later. The only reason I need my Posca markers is so I can fill in areas with white when I'm ready for that. Because gel pens, at least the ones that I have, don't go over these Tombow markers all that well. And these Tombow markers, they are archival, but they kind of like smudge with water or anything that is slightly wet or damp, which kind of sucks, because a lot of times I like to use them with watercolor, but I have to do color before I add in the marker, which is why I was kind of struggling with whether or not I was going to use color for this piece. But I might just do inks and then color it digitally, but that, if I do that, it kind of, you know, on stream you won't get to see the color, which kind of sucks, but oh well. You know, if you like the piece when it's done and you want to see it colored, it's probably going to go up on my Instagram. So, which also, by the way, I should be back on Instagram soon. I know I've been AWOL with Instagram lately and Twitter. Like I said, I just haven't been online because my brain has told me that I don't deserve to be online if I am not doing the work that I am paid to do. And like, that's totally not true. I'm allowed to have a regular life, a regular social life and everything, but yeah, no, my brain doesn't let me do that. When I am behind on work, my brain forces me to withdraw from the entire universe, and it sucks. And I think it's mostly just like a kind of trauma response, because there's been so many times as an artist that I'll post to Twitter, and then someone who's angry with me since I haven't finished their work, and it's not like I purposefully don't finish work or like avoid finishing work that I've been paid for. A lot of the time there's a good reason why I haven't finished something, and usually it's because, hey, so I have a queue of like 30 people that all need work from me, and I need to prioritize that, and sometimes that means your stuff gets put on the back burner and it takes like 2 months because I needed to prioritize, and that sort of thing really sucks, but sometimes that's the case. But it's not like I purposefully don't do the work for these people, but I have people who see me post on Twitter and they'll come to me and be like, I paid you to do a thing and you're not doing my thing currently right now, and it like kind of mashed it into my head that if I'm not currently working on what I'm being paid to do, I don't deserve an internet presence. I don't deserve to be online, because these people expect, like, if you have time to post to Twitter, then you have time to work on my thing, which is not the case at all. Usually when I'm working, like when I have time to post to Twitter, is because I don't have time to work on anything. Like I'll post to Twitter just randomly throughout the day, and it really sucks. So I haven't been on any social media for like 2 months. I have not made Twitter posts, I have not touched Instagram, I have not done anything for months, and I want that to stop. I want it to be over. So I think probably today is going to be my first post in a while, and I'm just going to be like, yeah, screw it. I'm working on people's stuff at my own pace, and too bad, you know, and it really sucks, but there's nothing I can do about it. I also have just been working on my own work as well, and that's something that my brain had always forced me to not do, is to work on my own stuff, do my own character designs and my own portfolio work and everything. And my brain always said, don't do that, you should only do the things that people paid for. And that's how you get burnout real quick. And I think for the past 2 months I was burnout. I was only doing things that I was paid to do, and even then I couldn't do any big projects, and I have like 3 big projects that are still on the docket that I need to get done, and I just wasn't doing them because I was burnout and I couldn't think. I could only do what I like to call McDonald's art, and it's a very apt comparison, because a lot of the time people will pay me for bigger projects that are, you know, hundreds of dollars, some up to thousands, and when I get paid for those take time and thought and effort and my brain functioning, you know, and the other stuff that I get, it's like I get paid for 2 types of things. I get paid for like the real big pieces, or I get paid for stuff where it's like I need this done in 2 hours, and I need like I only want like a headshot of one character, and I only have $15, and there's no in between. And so when my brain shuts off and it doesn't let me work, the only types of work that I can do are those like $15, you know, I need this in 2 days commissions, which kind of makes the burnout worse, but it's the only thing that my brain will let me do, because it doesn't take thought, it doesn't take processing power to do, because it's just like I can draw a person's head in like 3 seconds, like not trying to boast or, you know, brag or anything, but like like portraiture is something that I have always been kind of good at. So when I have commissions that are like, you know, I want you to draw my character and this is what they look like that's the easiest thing for me to do. But those are the only kinds of commissions that I allowed myself to do for a few months. And I'm like, I really want to be out of it. I really want to be done with that, you know, done with my brain treating me like this. So that's why I decided to get back on Twitch and get back to streaming, because, you know, if people see that I'm streaming and online and they're upset with that and they feel like they're, you know, that I should be working on their work, that's too bad. Streaming keeps me sane and keeps me on schedule, and I know that it doesn't seem like it to a lot of people. Sometimes people will get commissions from me and they'll be like, I see that you're online and you're just not answering me, and I'm just like, I have to work my own way. And it's, for me, a constant learning curve of what my own way is, what works for me, because I was never taught it in school. I was never taught a way to manage this stuff that worked for me, because terrible ADHD, and being mentally ill, and my school not being good at any of those things. I rag on my university too much, but yeah, so like, I'm still learning what works for me a lot of the time. Okay, there we go. Yeah, I like that. I like these little chunks that are cut out of like swirls. Whenever I draw smoke, I love doing these little like chunks that are cut out, because I think it looks cool. Alright, so there's that, and I just have to fill in this top bit, and then that'll be fully filled in. I do hope that with this ink, with me inking like this, that people can see it. I know that the way that this camera and everything is set up is a little odd, but I do hope that it's visible, you know, physically. And in order to set this up, I had to move so many things on my desk. Like, I normally have my computer up on a little riser. I bet I could grab it. I don't want to like move anything too much, but like one of these. So I normally have my computer up on that, and I normally have my tablet resting underneath it. There's a little like indent right here. So I have my Wacom underneath that, so that I can see what I'm working on both screens. And normally when I stream, that's the setup that I have, so I can see the one screen where I'm drawing, and then the computer on the little riser, or the monitor on the little riser, so that I can see, you know, Twitch chat and all of that stuff. But this whole thing is brand new, the way that I've set it up today. So I had to move the entire setup. I had to take my computer, set it higher up so I can still see the monitor, which is right here in front of me. The camera is right above it, and the other camera is set up where normally my camera would be. So this camera right here, that one is what is usually my camera. So that's usually the camera that's on my face. But I've set up the other camera, which is usually the camera that is capturing the Wacom. And normally I don't need that one. I normally have it set off to the side, and I just use its settings to capture the Wacom. But so that camera is the one that's sitting above my computer right now. I'm gonna fill the rest of this in completely, and then take like a short little break and go check on a couple of things. I have rice in my rice cooker behind me that I have to make sure is not burning, and I also have to go check the other monitor. See, I have 3, including the Wacom. I don't usually include that one. I usually say I have 2 monitors, but I have 3. and the one that I like track the stream with is off to the side of me. It is like off, yeah, that direction. It's so weird because everything is mirrored, but yeah, it's off to the side of me. So I have to I have to like get up, sort of, not fully, but lean over to see how the stream is looking on the other end. And it's fed into a feed of Twitch, so like it's watching itself essentially, so that I can see how the stream looks on your end, make sure that everything is visible and that you can hear me and all of that stuff. I can kind of see that here, but yeah. Also, I am impressed. I went live, and about an hour ago, I immediately got a follow as soon as I got live. Sorry I did not say thanks, and also, if you were hanging out here in the beginning, sorry I was less chatting to you. I had a lot of like things that I needed to get out there after not streaming for like a month, 2 months, 3 months. So I wanted to talk about that stuff. But yeah, thanks for coming in. Thanks for that follow. Thanks for being here while you were chilling out, getting ready for the day. This is a new thing for me, streaming at this time, but we'll get used to it together. And I hope you come back. I hope you see the stream. Hope you enjoy watching it when you do see it on. And I'm also going to be keeping all of the videos from the stream on Twitch, so I'm going to put them in their own little files so they can be watched later. And I'll probably also post them to YouTube when I'm done editing everything. I know, like, I say that all the time, and there's still videos that haven't been put up on my YouTube channel. So many have not been put up, but I plan on getting those together and, you know, trying to get those to things like that. Especially for this, I really want a good, nice, well-edited video of each of these drawings at the end of this, so that I have proof that I did it, and so that I can see them all together and see what they all look like. So I'm probably going to be, when I'm done with each of these drawings at the end of the month, which I should be done not fully at like the 31st. There's only 22 of these cards, so feasibly the 22nd is when I should be done with these, and then I just have like free draws. And I've decided that, kind of like how the drawing challenges go, that I'm going to give myself free draw days so that I don't get burnout. So I'm going to give myself days like the end of the week or something where I can draw something that isn't one of these prompts, and that's Hoshi. But I'm gonna, you know, do that for myself so that I don't get fully burnt out, so that I can finish all of these. But whenever these are done, I plan on editing all of the footage and everything together and making it so that it is its own, you know, like video. Also, sorry if this moves the camera when I'm doing this, but I want to have more light, and I'll put the camera back now. Something about this is just off. I don't know why it's weird, but yeah, we'll deal with it. If this video comes out terrible, that's fine. It's the first one in the series. But yeah, there we go. So I filled in all of that with my black pen. Now I'm gonna go in and sort of refine the edges of a lot of these, since I was using a very thick brush tip pen. I want to make sure that places where the ink should be nice and refined and thin are all evened out here. I'm very not used to using ink, because I haven't drawn an ink in some time. I mean, unless you count digital inks, which I do almost every day, for commissions and other projects and stuff, digital inking is kind of what I do most often, but I haven't done traditional inking in so long. Such a long time. I'm also gonna fill in this little chunk here around this orb. And one of the really fun things about inking is figuring out that sometimes you don't need a line somewhere where things connect. So I'm going to probably not go in with too many lines and just fill in chunks of color or chunks of ink in places, and then come back to it and try to add in lines later. And obviously all of this is going to be edited later, so I don't have to worry too much about it, but I just want to like not have a bunch of lines in places. I want to actually have like a good ink of this. So now I am going to, I was going to get up real fast and make sure that the stream is still going strong. So give me just a second. I'm going to finish up touching up some of these little corners and places where the inking kind of got away from me. And I'm also gonna go grab my tea, I think, while I'm up. So BRB for like 3 seconds. I'm gonna go grab all that stuff and I will be right back. Also, like, the stream should be running pretty smoothly because my computer is not having to run Clip Studio and the internet and everything while I'm streaming, which is real nice. I hope that the stream runs well for this like project that I'm doing, because if it does, then that means I can do this later with other projects. So I'm gonna go get what I need to get. I'm also gonna grab my Posca pens and everything else that I said, oh, I forgot to grab that while I sat down. So hang on just a second, I will be right back. Alright, I have returned. Let me throw my headphones back on. There we go. So I came back with my Posca pens, which are real nice. Full set of like 8 colors, I think. And I use these when I want to draw on top of black ink, because other ink pens don't draw very well on top of black ink. I'm gonna set these up over near the near the Stabilo pens. Usually I'm probably just gonna use the white one of those, but just to have them. I also grabbed my favorite eraser, which I have like 4 of. There we go. So I have a lot of these little eraser guys, but these are the Mono Zero eraser, and they're really, really good. They're my favorite eraser to use for things that have small little details. They really work well for that, so I'm loving using them. So I grabbed those two. I grabbed another ink pen, and then I grabbed a Sumi ink pen, which this thing is one of my favorite pens that I've ever had in my life. The only downside is that it is kind of low on ink, but it makes beautiful brush pen strokes, so I grabbed it anyway. I didn't grab it originally because I knew it was kind of low on ink, but if I want to use it, I can use it. And then the very last thing I grabbed was a Jelly Roll white gel pen. Jelly Roll is the best white gel pen that I've ever had. It goes over top of black ink pretty well. It still gives like a gray cast, but it is a nice like overlay that is better than most things. So also grab my tea. And once again, my very favorite mug, my Hocus Pocus I Need Coffee to Focus mug. I grabbed that so I could have something to drink. So I want to test out how these Posca pens go over top of the Tombow pens, because like I said, Tombow pens tend to be the kind of pens that kind of reactivate with water. So I'm just going to make a big chunk of black ink, grab a Posca pen, throw. Okay, so like I suspected, they do drag the ink a little bit. Not as much on dried ink though, so I could probably use them fine. They just drag ever so slightly. They drag a little bit of gray after the ink dries. So probably carefully and sparingly, but I could probably still use them. The only thing that upsets me is I don't have the gold Posca, because if I had the gold, I'll probably just grab some gold, like actual paint, like gold acrylic when it comes to that, because knowing me, I'm gonna get near done with this, and I'm gonna be like, this needs gold. This needs to have like gold in it somewhere, because I always do that. I finish my pieces and then I go, yeah, I want to add gold to it. Refining some of these areas here. Yeah. Okay. So now I'm gonna go in with my thinner Tombow Kuretake brush and find any areas that need to be kind of chiseled out, refined, or cleaned up in this initial block of black ink that I've put down. And you can do an entire piece in just these two Tombow inking pens, but I find that having the small ink pens that I have gives like a different feel to my work. It gives more of like a hand-drawn kind of sketchbook vibe, which I like a lot, so I kind of gravitate more towards them. But I do use the Tombow pens quite often. And I'll probably come back to this Kuretake pen later when I've already done all of my drawing in my thinner little tiny 3-point pens, because they are a little bit easier. Kuretake pens are a little bit finicky. You have to have a kind of steady hand for them. But when I get done with the 3-point pens, I might come back to this and add in some thicker lines, because another thing that I do very often when I'm inking is I will line things really thin with a very small pen, like a 3-point Pentel pen, and then I will hate it and decide that I want to line things with a thicker pen. So let's go in here. I think the first thing I want to do is add the texture of these birds, and I want to keep it close to the texture that I just did for them, which is a bunch of diagonal strokes, but not fully across the birds, like a bunch of small diagonal strokes that go kind of down and kind of show up in chunks. I'm going to switch to another 3-point. Do I have a 5-point here? Yes. Oh, it's almost out of ink though. Hopefully it has enough to finish this, because I like the look of the 5-point for strokes like this. And I also want this to be close to black. I don't want this piece to, this grayscale part to be like full on gray. I want it to look almost black when I'm done with these little strokes. So I'm just going in here and adding about a centimeter long little strokes, and where I start them is where I'm getting these like layers, kind of layered look here. I don't know how much of that you can see on the camera, but it's got kind of a layered vibe. I wonder if I can zoom in here. Let's go to webcam number 2. Configure the video. Hopefully that works. Okay, we got a thing. Alright. Well, I don't know. I don't think I can. Maybe I'll figure out how to do it later, but hopefully you can see what I'm doing. I know that it's kind of small, and you're seeing mostly my desk space, and that sucks, and I'm sorry. I will figure out how to get it to be closer and smaller so that we can all see together. Maybe if I make the stand that this is on go down a bit. Hang on. I bet I can do it. I believe in myself. I'm going to pull this down. Okay. Put all of these together. That raises it, so I really want it to be closed in, but not so much. There we go. It's a little bit closer. I can't get the camera too close to the desk, because if I go too close to the desk, it flips out on me. So hopefully. Hopefully that's good. A bit. Gosh, setting up cameras is not my strong suit, as you can probably tell. There we go. That's a little bit better. Now you can kind of see what I'm up to here. You get a bit of a better view of everything. And let me turn this down. There we go. Yeah, there we go. Now you have a better view of what I'm doing. It's a little bit more zoomed in. It's less crazy. I'll figure this guy out someday so that I can zoom in so you can really see what I'm doing here. But yeah, we're gonna go in and continue inking this guy with that 5-point that I found that is almost out of ink. I'll have to go buy another one so that I can finish things. Ooh, yeah, we are coming near the end here. But I'm just gonna go in and add a bunch of tiny small strokes. It's also probably hard to see because of the way I hold my hand when I'm doing inking. So, sorry. Sometimes when you do art and you stream, it sucks. But I'm going in with a bunch of tiny strokes, and I'm not going fully up close to anything because I am going to come back in here and add more lines around here for things, so like around the arm, and outline the bottles that are in the foreground and all of that stuff. So I am going to come back and do all of that, but for now I want to line in all of these wings. It's really fun teaching recently because I have learned like fun ways to tell people how to do a thing, and one of my most favorite things to teach people is how to hold their utensils. So we have multiple different brushes in the studio, but one of the brushes that we hold and like have to tell people about, there's like a multiple ways to hold it, and I always tell people with the smallest brush that we're doing, like when it's an inking brush, I tell people hold it like you would hold a mascara, and for some reason that works so well for people. I don't know why, but people just really like that description. It usually gives everyone a really good time. But that's been one of my most favorite things of like doing teaching, has been just doing that, and also just telling stupid inside jokes, because I am a 40-year-old dad at heart, obviously. Telling just stupid puns and stupid jokes and things like that. It's been the most fun thing. But yeah, I'm just gonna continue this. I'm starting to get hungry now that it's like getting close to noon. Just got an update on a commission. Now I gotta do... I have another one that's due later in the day today that I need to do as well, so it's done before I go to work. Because when I go to work, I don't have time to do commissions. Either that or I'm gonna do it when I get home, because I think it's due not today, but it's due like tomorrow morning in the ledger, but I'd like it to be done today so I have enough time to kind of look over it and make sure I did everything correctly.
Yeah, it's not about the ideas, it's about how you support the ideas.
I'll finish that one up. There's also like, thinking about commissions, I've also got like 2 more that I need to do, that are the big elaborate ones that stress me out. And I wish I was streaming commissions sometimes. But I'm not gonna... I've decided also that I don't really want to stream commissions anymore. Just because I never want to have an interaction with someone where it's like I'm working on one person's commission instead of another person's, and they see that on stream and they like freak out because they think that they're entitled to time or whatever. So I just don't want to put up with that. And before, I didn't do commissions on stream unless they were like close friends, because I just didn't want, you know, to put someone's ideas and someone's, like, usually it's character commission, someone's character out there, where they don't have control over who sees it, you know. That's not my place. But I didn't want to do that, so I just didn't do commissions. But now I'm just like, yeah, I'm not going to stream commissions because I don't want to deal with the backlash of, like, you know, interacting with people and them realizing, like, oh, you're not doing my commission? No, I just don't want to do that. I want to be part of it. I'm sorry, I bite my lip a lot when I'm working. I make some weird faces when I'm drawing. This is the really fun thing about streaming myself drawing, is because, like, later I'll come back to this video to either do editing or whatever to post it to YouTube or to wherever I'm going to post it, and I get to watch myself make the most ridiculous faces and do the craziest things while I'm drawing, and I never know why. There's never an explanation to why I do this, other than the fact that, like, big autism, ADHD vibes, can't function if not make funny face, you know. But other than that, I have no idea why I do half of these things. Okay. It's starting to look what I pictured it to look like. These, like, little tiny strokes. I was worried at first. I hate when I make a decision about art and then I worry about it. I think, oh no, I made the wrong choice. But no, this is going okay. And I think I will have enough ink to finish it, which is good. At least for this part. Which is really all I needed, the 5.4, because I'd rather use the smaller ink pen for actual inking. I just wanted the 5 point to do this part. But yeah, if drawing challenges go well, and I enjoy them, I've got plans for a drawing challenge next month as well. And next month I might actually participate in NaNoWriMo, which I haven't done since I was in university. So I'm excited for that. But if I do a drawing challenge next month, it's going to be a real fun one. It's one that I thought up a few months ago when I decided to stop streaming for a bit and was having mental health issues. I thought up this idea. There's this thing called the color clock, which is a clock that takes the time scale, like that takes the digital readout of the time and converts it into a hex code, a number code that converts into a hex code, essentially, for a color. And over the past 2 months, I have been documenting, past 2 months, not including October, I have been documenting every single time that I have a bad thought, going to the color clock and clicking and like saving the color every day. So at least one a day, but I try to do it anytime I have an intrusive bad thought, or I have like a thought about something, you know, super negative about myself or anything like that. Because years ago, the Color Clock was a website that I would visit frequently, because watching the hue of because the clock itself displays the colors that it's making, and watching the hue change slowly was really soothing to me. As someone with tetrachromania, like, I see color in a very interesting way, so it's something that's always been super soothing for me, to watch the color clock change. And I realized that I'm an artist. I can use that. Like, I can go to the color clock and, you know, find a color whenever I want. So I've been recording those colors, and I haven't figured out exactly how I'm going to use them now. God. Well, I promise I'm not COVID, it's probably allergies. But I haven't figured out exactly how I'm going to use those colors. But recording them, I'm thinking I'm going to use them for something similar to like Huevember, which happens. It's like a drawing challenge that happens in November. So I've been kind of considering what I would do for Huevember if I was going to do it. Drink some water to get the allergies out. Okay. So I've done that. I've filled in all of the birds. I think next I'm gonna do the same thing over here on these bottles, but I'm going to outline certain areas and fill in. I'm not going to use the 5-point anymore, it's really running out of ink. I'll use the 3-point. Just outline and fill in with some vertical stripes really close together, so I can indicate that these are see-through without having to color this area, this whole bit, black. Sorry for the silence there, I had to really focus. Doing these like little short lines in this little small area, it's a lot. Okay. And then here. This is why watching people do art, I never understood why it was entertaining for people, because a lot of the time it's literally just drawing. It's literally just silence and desperation. It's something that I say a lot in the classes that I teach, which is just like my favorite part of the classes as a teacher is when we get to the point in the class where it is just silence and desperation as people are trying to fully complete their drawings or complete their paintings. There's this moment where you can tell that everyone is trying their hardest, and that's always my favorite moment. That's always the moment where I realize, like, oh yeah, it's real fun to teach. Like, I don't think I'm meant to be a teacher by any means, but it is something that I really enjoy watching with people. But I don't understand, like, how somebody would derive entertainment from that, because I don't like it from an entertainment standpoint. I like it as, like, a teacher, because I like to see people engaging so heavily with, you know, the material, with what I'm teaching or the painting that we're doing. I like to see people enjoying themselves, because that's kind of my job. So it's weird to me when people will enjoy watching other people draw, because a lot of the time it's just silence. Unless it's something like obviously I love Drawfee. I watch Drawfee all the time, but I watch them because they do drawing and commentary. And I guess you could kind of say that I do drawing and commentary, because I sit here and chat while I'm doing drawings, but like, really isn't that though. It's really not. It's something entirely different that I do, because I don't really do commentary. I just do chatting. I just kind of like talk. I let my ADHD brain take over and let it say whatever it wants to say in the moment, which I feel like is a different thing, because it's not like I'm sitting here, you know, thinking of what to say or relating what I say back to what I'm doing, back to what I'm drawing. It's frequently not that at all. It's frequently, I am not linking what I'm saying to what I'm drawing. But hopefully it's entertaining for somebody out there while I'm sitting here finishing this. I'm happy with how this is coming together though. It's starting to you know, actually look like an illustration. Happy about that. I still haven't figured out what I'm gonna do with the face right here. I know, like, I've planned out in the sketch what needs to go there, but I haven't figured out how I'm going to do the shading in that area, so I'm kind of leaving it blank for now, because I haven't figured it out yet. I also haven't figured out just the whole character in the center. I haven't figured out how I'm going to ink that to make it work. But there are little areas that I've thought about that I kind of have been inking, like these little side areas that I know, oh, I've thought about this area, like I can finish that. Like over here with these candles, I've kind of thought about how the light would work for them. If anything, this at least will be a practice in cleaner artwork, which is something that I have never been good at. I'm not good at doing things cleanly. I'm good at painting cleanly. Basically, when I paint, I don't make a lot of a mess, which is, I guess, a feat. My coworkers told me that they were impressed with that when I paint, I kind of like keep my workspace clean when I paint. And I think that comes from just years of using watercolor, because you can't be messy when you've got watercolor. It's not something you can, you know, get away with messy hand. So, but I haven't been that great at doing clean line work recently, so maybe this will be a practice in that. Also, sorry if my voice is rather scratchy. I have not spoken for this long when I'm not teaching in a long time. I'm not used to streaming. I'm not used to resting my voice. So I'm going to have a rather hoarse voice for a bit of today. That. There. Okay. I'm trying to add some little fun details into things, because why not? Okay. than that, I hope most of this is visible. Let me go back to webcam and change some stuff up. Let's get the contrast up a bit. And turn down the brightness. Sorry, I'm messing with this still. I'm trying to like find a place. I could no saturation for ink. No. Trying to find a place that's good, that you can like see what's going on, but it's not. Let's hit done. Yeah, I guess that's visible enough. Again, sorry that it's like real weird and you can't see anything. Maybe I'll have to remount my my webcam onto something else, or my camera onto something else. I'm thinking like something's wrong with the way the tripod is set up, because if I were to film from like here, do you see how like, yeah, the contrast is real off at this sense, but from here it focuses so well, so much better. You can like actually see lines in my hand and all of that, and that's kind of what I want, but I don't know how to get my tripod to lower down that far. So okay, let's add in some lines down here to indicate the table, and here for this table here. I think no matter what I do, I'm probably going to have to, at least in some way, outline this smaller bottle that's happening right in front, this one here. So I think if that's what I'm going to have to do, I should probably outline around the smoke in the larger bottle. Process. Probably outline this too. There we go. That would be kind of neat. And I think the smoke in this bottle, I think I want it to be like, I want to line it swirly the way that I've drawn it here, but I also kind of want to leave it white. So I'm going to leave it the way it is for now and just line what I need to down here, and then I might erase some areas and come back to that and line it a darker color. Make it all swirly. Also struggling a bit with this, the reflection of this other like beaker that's kind of sitting behind here. Time is 11:51. All right. My goal was for this to be done by 2 p.m. and so far we are on track, so happy about that. this is the reason why a lot of people get into the sense that doing any sort of drawing challenge in October is unfeasible, because like people who don't do these drawing challenge just don't think about the fact that, you know, I've been here, the setup of like the camera setup and everything started at around 9:30, and I have been working on this piece since about 10:15, and it is now almost noon. And sometimes people say like, oh, well, you should just, you know, limit yourself to a certain amount of time to draw something. And while I agree with that, you should have limits like that. In order to get a finished piece, it does take hours. And it's unfortunate, but it's kind of the reality of being an artist, is to have like finished work. You do have to take the time to finish your work. And it's something that I kind of struggle with these sort of drawing challenges, and I know other people do too, is that you, in order to like stop and finish your work, you kind of have to do really simple work, and that's something that I never wanted to do. I don't want to draw really simple stuff for drawing challenges, so I usually end up with really detailed things that take several hours to finish, and then I end up only having the energy for those things, you know. So I guess one of the ways that I kind of combat that is I set it up to where, you know, I work for several hours on this, and then I break for lunch or something else. Give myself time to, you know, not be working on the thing for a bit, and then I come back to it. So like, if I want to add gold to this later, I can. And that's kind of the way that I've found to combat this like sense that like, oh no, I need to finish this as soon as I sit down. Back when I used to film, I used to do, last year I did like a Drawtober, and I did speed draw, like I filmed a speed draw of each of the days, or as many of the days as I could film. It was kind of hard to film certain days, so I didn't, but for as many of the days as I could film, I filmed, and to like film like that and sit down and do those drawings in one sitting would have killed me. So instead, I would wake up in the morning and I would draw until I felt like I can't do this anymore, and then I would break, have lunch, do something else for a few hours, which is why I want to be done with this by 2 o'clock. And then once I was done with that break and I felt good about it, I would come back to what I was doing, and I'd have these sort of refreshed thoughts about what needed done, how I was going to solve some of the problems I was having, that sort of thing. So I cannot stress enough how good breaks are for these sorts of things. Even when it seems like, oh, I'll just, you know, sit down and I'll complete the whole drawing today, like, and I'll complete it in 1 hour or whatever. Like, even if you do, take a break, walk away from it, and then come back and look at it. Because a lot of the time, you'll find things after you've come back and, you know, looked over it once. You'll find stuff where it's like, oh, I wanted this to be different, or oh, I now know how I can make this look the way that I wanted it to look. Stuff. Oh, I don't think I'm streaming in the LGBTQ tag. Crap. I'll have to fix that. Hold on. Little mini streamer thoughts. Oh crap, I am not streaming in the gay tag. I must tell everyone that I am gay. Okay, there we go, there we go, there we go. That should be good. Okay. So I've outlined this little dude in the front. And given some context to this bottle that is sitting up here. I think if I end up inking the smoke, I'm going to not ink the smoke that's inside this bottle. I think I'm going to leave that white because it's coming off of the reflection of the bottle. I think it'd look cool for that to be lighter color. Let's see, what is the next thing? I can probably ink down here. This prompt was not a prompt that I really wanted to do, so that's why I'm doing it first, because I really didn't like it. I didn't like drawing it, I didn't like the concept of it. It's just not a prompt for me. Something about it made me very uncomfy, in the sense where it's like, it feels weird because this specific like word is it's like an Arabic custom thing and Egyptian as well, but it's like, you know, a job in Arabic countries, or was in the past, and it just feels weird for it to be in like a fantasy role-playing thing, like for this, you know, position in another like culture to be a thing. It feels weird. Feels weird, man. I don't know if I like it. So I had some weird like mixed feelings about even doing this prompt and even doing this entire project because of this prompt. But I eventually kind of got over that and was like, I'm just gonna do it, but I'll make it the first one I do, so that if I hate what I draw entirely, I can sort of redo it later in the month when I feel better and I have more ideas. Kind of an easy throwaway drawing, if you will. And then I think I'm gonna outline the figure in slightly thicker than the 3-point outline that I had, just because I feel like it'll make it more visible, but not in all the places. I'm gonna leave this thin outline up for this side and just sort of thicken up certain areas, because there is a candle lit over on one side of this drawing, or 2 candles lit, so I'm going to let those be the light sources of things and let the thicker outline be on the other side, the opposing side of where those candles are lit, because I think that makes a lot of sense. I'm gonna do the same with the arm here. And this arm, probably going to use the smaller pen for the hands and fingers though. should have for lunch. Now that it's, getting towards noon. Well, it is noon. Now that it's noon, my brain and body are both like, what are we eating? I normally don't have my lunch at noon, which is why I figured I'll stop streaming at 2 p.m. and have lunch. Because that's usually when I eat. But I guess streaming and also using my brain more than I normally do at this time of day. But I guess like actually physically being up and about most of the morning and doing things has given my brain the case of the empties. And I am now like, lunch? And I had plans to actually go out today and go to like, there's a local coffee shop I like, which I mentioned on stream the last time I was streaming. But like, I kind of wanted to go out and do stuff today, but I also don't because I have to be at work later. So it's kind of like a double-edged thing because I don't really like being out and about in my work clothes. It's just like a personal preference thing because I don't feel like myself in them. So I don't like to be, seen in public when I don't feel like myself. It like gives me bad dissociation vibes. So I don't like to go out when it's like a work day. And I know plenty of other people who don't like to leave their house when it's a work day before they have to go to work because they like feel like they'll get super tired if they do. And that's part of my issue as well, but it's mostly just that I don't like wearing my work clothes out in public. And people have told me like, why don't you just bring your work uniform with you and change into it? And I could do that, but then I'd be motivated to not change into it. Or I'd be motivated to just be wearing it because that's easier. So, like, a lot of the time with ADHD, I have to walk the path of least resistance. Like, if I'm gonna wear my work uniform, I just have to wear it. I can't rationalize to my brain, like, oh, we can wear whatever we want and then we can change into it, because then whatever I put on has to be something that works with changing into my work uniform, Like, it has to be like, otherwise I might as well just bring an entire new outfit. So, like, it has to be something where it's like, oh, if I wear these jeans with my work shirt, it won't look bad, something like that. And if it's not, then there's no point in doing that, because I would just be bringing an entire outfit with me during the day, which sucks. And it's like, at that point, it's more inconvenient than just wearing the work outfit. These are the like cartwheels that my brain does on a day-to-day basis. This is what my brain sounds like on the inside, and I'm sharing it with you. Aren't you lucky? But yeah, this is what my brain is like. It does not allow me to function day-to-day basis. So I've decided not to go out on days where I have work, just to make my brain be a little nicer about things. Okay, so done that. The next bit is going to be doing little outlines around the feathers and wings that I've done. So I'll probably do little, like, small outlines for those. I'm really avoiding drawing this face because I don't want to. But I think I better, because if I don't, putting it off longer and longer, it's just gonna suck more when I have to get to it. Yeah, I think next has got to be the face. Okay, so I'll do that next, and I'll also figure out how I'm going to outline this upper shoulder area, because I want that to also be a dark color. I've kind of shaded it in, but I don't want it to be black. So I'm thinking I've done this sort of scratchy thing for the birds, and I'm thinking for the shirt I might do that, but in a thinner pen than the one that I had when I was doing the birds, than the like 5-point. Probably do it in the 3-point and it'll be fine. So I think I'm gonna do that and outline the hands before I go in and do the face. But yeah, I hope everyone's 1st of October is doing good. I have been so excited for this fall season. I love autumn. It is my favorite time of year. It is the one time of the year that I get really excited and I don't have to like hide it. Like, I love autumn so much, and I love everything about autumn. I love like people are, you know, rag on like pumpkin spice and all of that. I love pumpkin spice. I love apples. I love pumpkins in general. Just everything about autumn is my favorite season. So whenever it comes down to like October hitting, as soon as October hits, it's like I have seasonal affective disorder, but I have it in reverse, where I feel it more in summer and spring. Like, I have the bad, you know, negative experiences from those like months. So as soon as October hits, it's like a signal to my brain that the bad is over. we can enjoy things again, and it's sudden and it's so pronounced that I just feel like a person again. October hits and it's like, oh yeah, I'm real. Like, I'm an actual person. I exist. And it's just it's a really odd feeling to have, but it's a good positive feeling to have, so I don't hate it. It's just very odd after, you know, several summer months of not feeling good and being like, what is wrong with me? And then, you know, I get to October and it's like, I know what was wrong with me. Why couldn't I figure it out? Because mental illness. But yeah, like, I love autumn. I'm so excited. I can't wait for whatever this season has in store. Whatever is gonna happen. There's like an art contest that's happening that I might participate in. There's like some other really cool stuff. It's always the coolest time of the year. But it's also neat because where I live, autumn is Pride Month. So we do have the other Pride Month, June Pride, as well. We celebrate that too. But where I live, our Pride Month is in autumn. It's in October. It's usually the end of October is when we have our Pride celebrations. So this year we can't have physical Pride because of pandemic reasons. So this year we're having virtual Pride, and I'm excited because Pride was always something that I couldn't participate in too much because my mental illness, like my autism and ADHD and stuff, made Pride not a very safe place to be for me, because it's loud and there's a lot of music and drinking and, you know, stuff like that. So I never went to very many Pride festivals here just because it wasn't really for me. I'm not like, I enjoy a good drink, but I am not a party gay too much. So Pride Fest here wasn't for me. But this year, since it's going to be online, it's going to be less of that and more actual events that I can go to that aren't just drink, which is a criticism that I've had of Pride in general for years. I've always said that Pride should have more like minor friendly and asexual friendly, just events that are better for people who don't participate in, you know, drinking culture and the over-sexualization that Pride has and everything like that. So I really am glad that this year, again, not COVID, just allergies, but I really am glad that this year there's, fun actual Pride events that I can go to, actual things I can be a part of. There's an art contest, there's a bunch of other really fun stuff. I'm like so hype. Blending that in. I also gave this character a little like collar here and a veil, so I'm gonna ink around that. I haven't quite figured out how I'm gonna color those in yet. Okay. Alright. I've finally gotten up to where it's like I need to ink the face or there's nothing else for me to do. So I'm gonna start with up here, because I know for a fact that I want this headdress to be a certain way, so I'm gonna ink it first. But I also can't wait to see what everyone else does for their October drawing stuff, because I know a lot of people in the art community have kind of been in the same boat with me about Inktober, where we don't like Jake Parker. I've never really liked the guy. I've been on his mailing list for several years. I mentioned this last year on stream, around this time when I was working on commissions instead of working on inking stuff, but I am not the biggest fan of Jake Parker and never have been, but I did meet him at university once or twice because he came as a guest speaker or something, and he put me on his mailing list, so I always got the prompts early, which wasn't terrible, but still I never really liked them, and so when I did participate, it wasn't the most fun thing. It was kind of like, okay, well, that's cool. Your prompts kind of suck. So I would pick and choose prompts, and then it became kind of a thing that Tumblr did for a while, which was that different Tumblr artists would have their own prompt lists and stuff, and I just started following those instead. So I've never been big on Inktober, but I know that now with the allegations that came out about Jake Parker and everything, there's a lot more people who aren't going to be a part of it. So I'm excited to see what people do, because I do think that you should still, do a drawing challenge, even if you're not doing Inktober. The thing that makes me upset is people associate so heavily drawing challenges in October with Jake Parker that if you even mention you are doing a drawing challenge in October, everyone thinks you're doing Inktober. And I don't want him to own that. He can't own Inktober. He can't own something that, millions of people participate in. He can't lay claim to drawing challenges. They aren't copyrighted by him. So it kind of gives him too much credit to be oh, if I do a drawing challenge of any kind, then that would be bad because he does Inktober. It's no, it's just do your own drawing challenge. Think of something else to draw. So I've been talking with a lot of artists who were considering doing Inktober, and then after what they found out, have decided not to do it. And there's been one of my good friends who's an artist does Mega Man art and wants to do an entire month of Mega Man drawing stuff, and I'm that's so dope, that's so hype. I'm so ready to see what people make, so yeah, it sucks that Inktober is kind of not gonna happen because, you know, everything is bad all the time. Or it's gonna happen, and I'm sure people will participate in it. It's just not gonna be as big as it was a couple years ago. Kind of sucks that that's the case, but also, you know, it's kind of cool because we're gonna get to see some real creative, you know, things. People are actually gonna think about what they're doing and make their own prompt lists or just draw what they want and be free. It's kind of, it reminds me of like Be Gay, Do Crime. It's kind of that. It's like be artists, draw crimes. I don't know, but it feels same. It feels that vibe. Okay, so I've done that. Done the face. I'm gonna add some detail into this headdress. Just little bits of detail, not a lot. So I've outlined the face. Now I need to go in and add some actual detail. Yeah, okay, that works. So to add some actual like detail, I'm gonna add some lines inside what I've already drawn just to indicate, you know, where stuff is. And the small bits of this face are gonna be the worst parts, like the eyes and the hair and all of these tiny little facial features suck to ink. And I hate that I've done this to myself, but that's my next goal here, is to do all of those tiny little things to make this really come to life. So I'm gonna get in on that. And I'm sorry if while I'm doing these tiny little bits, I am not speaking very often, because I am really, really gonna have to focus to get these to look good. So sorry about that. It's necessary. I also added a bunch of small little eye shapes in here to give some eyes to this character. I know I wanted to give them a big like forehead eye, but I kind of thought it would be cool if the veil that they're wearing also had eyes all over it. So I did that, and I kind of liked how it looked, so I kept it. But it also is making this a lot harder to draw. Okay, and then they have this eyebrows. And I also gave them this veil that comes in front of their eyes, but their nose is not in the veil, so I can draw that. Sorry, I'm just narrating what I'm doing at this point. I just really, really have to focus on this bit.
All right. I'll tell you the truth.
Also, I'm really excited my next like movie binge, because something that I do when I'm in a good mood and I want to like get work done is I'll put a movie on in the background, and my professors always told me not to do that, and they were incorrect. If watching movies makes work easier for you, do it, but I was always told not to do this. But recently I've decided to just start doing it again, and something that's been really cool about that is that I've now been watching movies that I haven't seen for years, because I told myself I couldn't watch movies or I wouldn't get any work done. And most recently I rewatched The Dead Poets Society, which is such a good movie, and made me miss Robin Williams, as always. But like, it's such a good movie, such a good watch, and it held so much more context for me, because I saw it when I was a teen, and I was out as queer, but not entirely out as every part of the identity that I am. So I didn't fully grasp a lot of things with that movie, but you know, it holds so much more weight now as an adult going back and watching it. And it's not even technically like a queer movie. Like it has some queer themes, I should say, but it's not like, you know, a gay movie in and of itself. It's a coming of age movie for men, specifically for like university age or like late high school age men, and it's such a soft like version of masculinity, and I think it was a huge influence on me when I was younger. It was something that, like, I saw it, and it's a very sad movie, and it doesn't have a happy ending, and it's not supposed to, but it was like 100% something that I saw and I related to a lot, and I was like, that me, like, point on screen. And like, I didn't understand why I related to it so much, you know? At the time, I just was like, yeah, no, I love this movie. The entire thing, without spoiling too much, is a movie about young boys who go to a boarding school together, and create a sort of secret club that isn't really a club for their friend group to read poetry because of their English teacher, who is kind of like, the only way I can describe it, because he's played by Robin Williams, the English teacher is this like carpe diem kind of teacher that like isn't about lesson plans and is more about experiences as a way of teaching, which is really cool, and is the way that you should teach. But, you know, he encourages these boys to form some sort of society. He kind of like tells them about what he did when he was their age, which was form a society like this. They do, and over the course of the movie, there's like, you know, infighting and other stuff that happens, and it like things spiral from there, and like I said, there's not a happy ending. Trigger warning if you do watch it. It does deal with like mental health and suicide and stuff, but without like explicit mention. There's like some mention, but not really, of queerness. It is a very queer movie of like found family, of friendships and how they degrade depending on how you act, and like, you know, learning to be yourself in a society or group that you don't fit in with. It's got a lot of those themes, and it's also got the themes that I related to a lot, which was like, you know, queer people and their English teachers always have a really good relationship, because in general they tend to be escapism, TM, which means that they go looking for fantasy and literature often. So it's got the sort of literature angle, which is really common in a lot of queer media, and just, it's a very like queer film without being a queer film. So watching it, I was like, wow, this slaps actually. And I think as a younger teen, like, you don't like see all of those elements when you're watching it as like at a younger age. And I'm not sure where I saw it first. I think one of my parents showed it to me when I was younger, because both of my parents were kind of movie buffs. My father was super into horror movies, and my mother was more into like westerns. She really likes the like classical art form of movies, so she was into things that elevated that art form, like westerns and things like that. But one of my parents probably showed it to me, And if not, I saw it in school. But I just remember watching it as a teen and being like, this is good, but I don't quite get it. And also, I think it had a big impact on me and how I write stories, because I'm very much the type of writer when I write things that, like are cathartic for me to write. I don't include very many happy endings. Almost everything that I write has like a bittersweet tilt to it, because I feel like happy endings rob you of an emotional feeling that you wouldn't get otherwise. There are some happy endings that are kind of preserved in my eyes that are okay, but a lot of the time when there's a happy ending, I feel like it is more for resolution than it is for being a good movie, which I dislike. The other movie that I recently watched was Luca, and oh my god, go watch Luca. Oh my god, it's a gay fish movie. Oh my god, it's so good. That's just, I will, anyone I meet that I yell that they should watch Luca. But anyway, I watched Luca, and Luca is one of those happy endings that it's not a happy ending, but it's still a happy ending. And that's the kind of ending that I like, where it's not so much I like terrible endings where everything is bad, because that's not what Dead Poet Society is. Like, bad things do happen in it, and the characters have to learn how to live with that, with those facts that happen. But the actual sort of movie content itself at the end has this very somber but bittersweet note to it, where it's kind of happy because the impact that the teacher had on the kids is really profound, and it shows in the last few scenes of the movie, where the kids stand up for the teacher who's about to lose his job because of what happened. But it also has that bittersweet undertone, because the teacher, you never get the answer whether or not he lost his job. You never get the happy ending TM. You don't get to see what happened to him. So, like, it's that sort of movie and like storytelling that I like. But yeah, watch Dead Poet Society if you haven't seen it in a while. It's definitely worth it. I've just been in a good place to watch movies recently, like mentally. I don't know why. Normally I don't have the attention span for it. But recently I've just been like, yeah, let's rewatch some old movies that I used to like. I think my next watch spree, hello Hoshi. I think my next watch spree is probably gonna be Lord of the Rings. This time of year always feels like Lord of the Rings to me. So I'll probably watch the entire first trilogy and then watch the Hobbit movies while I'm working. I love Lord of the Rings. It's a real good movie franchise. Hobbit kind of ruined it, but that's fine. I can forgive Peter Jackson. Peter Jackson did not want to do that movie, so I kind of forgive it. It sucks, but yeah. I always think about what could have happened if we had gotten the Del Toro version of Lord of the Rings. That would have been so nice. I would love the Del Toro version, because it looked so cool. His ideas looked amazing. His idea for the design of Smaug was so cool looking. It was this like Cloverfield beast monster, and I was like, yes. I wanted like Grendel versions of like terrifying, you know? But I didn't hate Peter Jackson's version. Didn't hate it. I just wish I had gotten something else, because we already got 3 amazingly beautiful movies in that style, in Peter Jackson's specific style, you know? I kind of wanted to see someone else take up the mantle. And I feel the same way about, like, I know there's like an Amazon show that people have been talking about where it's supposedly the Silmarillion, which, like, I don't think you can't I don't think they're gonna be able to do that. I saw some news articles that were saying that they were putting characters in who are from the modern ages of the Middle Earth in the Silmarillion show, and I'm like, yeah, you realized your mistake. Someone who said they were gonna make this show hadn't read the book, because the Silmarillion is not a book you can really make a show out of. Like, I feel like it's something you could, but it'd be so difficult, and there'd be so much that you would have to like think through and add to it, because the Silmarillion is essentially Bible of Middle Earth. It's lore. It's only lore. There's not really story or arc or anything there. It's just lore. It is very dry, and like, I enjoyed it because I like lore. Lore is the one thing that I find very fascinating about fantasy literature, but like, I know a lot of other people did not enjoy it, and it would, as a show, would essentially just be exposition lore about the world and nothing else, and I don't see how they think that would work. So yeah, like, I don't know what they're gonna do with that show, but like, I saw that they were casting people for characters that don't come until way later, and I'm like, I can't see this being good. So like, as much as I want to see someone else take up the mantle of Lord of the Rings, I also just don't trust people. I don't trust people with Middle Earth. It's such a complicated franchise, and Tolkien was such an interesting writer that I don't think that a lot of people could understand what he created and what he was trying to do. Like, Peter Jackson definitely got on that correct wavelength, but I don't think very many other people would. So I'm not hyped for the Silmarillion show, which I don't know if it's been canceled. I know nothing about it, but like, I know nothing about it because it does not look good. And it's sad to say, because the Silmarillion is one of my favorite Lord of the Ring, like, I can't even say it's one of my favorite Lord of the Ring books, because it's not really a Lord of the Rings book. But like, Tolkien books in general, it's one of my favorite, because I like the lore. I find the lore fascinating. Alright, so now I'm gonna let this dry a bit, but this is what I've come up with. This is as close to done as this is gonna get before I erase the lines. But before I do that, I am going to get a ruler, and I'm going to fix these corners on the sides to make them all even and not as wobbly. So I'm gonna go get a ruler and do that. I'm not gonna ink in the lines of anywhere where it's just a white area, like where the smoke is or anything like that. So before I grab a ruler, I'm gonna erase out. I don't want to erase all of this, but I'm gonna erase out those bits for right now, so that I remember that I'm not gonna make those lines. And then once I erase it, I'll probably do some touch-ups for this once I erase out everything. And because I was wearing a glove, there's also just some stray graphite on the paper that I'm gonna get rid of. And this eraser is a blessing from the gods. I love this eraser. This is the Carandash eraser, which I just love everything Carandash makes, but the eraser in particular is very good. Carandash, I think, is my favorite art supply brand. But yeah. Alright, I'm gonna go grab that ruler. Do I have to get up for this? Do I have a ruler up here? Sometimes I have one. I don't think so. I'll be right back. Ruler. Okay. I'm back with ruler. and I'm going to do some ink. So I don't need to ink this bottom line or that, or where those books are, but I am going to ink the side line here. And I'm going to use the 3-point to ink, and then use the bigger one to draw in. It's not really inking the way I want it to. I guess I'll just use the Kuretake brush to really line up these lines. I'm really trying to make everything very, very even as I do this, because I want nice, even edges. And then I can touch everything up with my Posca pen. This is very uneven, this part right here. Okay, that should be good. Probably a little bit closer in. Just like before, inking straight ruler lines is another thing that I have to have a lot of focus, and I tend to talk to myself while I do it. So sorry about my mumbling and the fact that I am not speaking directly to you right now. I will be back with you shortly. Just imagine that I'm like servicing a call somewhere or something. I'm working a desk. That side out. I'm just gonna clean up those edges, and the top is where I really need to even out because I kind of got lazy up here. It happens, but I really need this to be even. There we go. Okay, and then very last, this one side over here. And then we'll erase our lines, and we'll see our pencil lines. We'll see what it looks like without the pencil, and see if we need to do any touch-up inks and get out my Posca pen. Alright, there we go. So there's that. Let that dry for a second. Put my ruler away, and then we can erase. I'm gonna start erasing from this corner where there is already less pencil. And I found with the Caran d'Ache erasers, I like to erase in circles, small circular motions, and then get rid of the rest here. I'm gonna do that up here through these bottles. Now where the wings are, I think is where this is going to be the most different. That's where erasing out these lines is really going to make a change, is the difference between, I mean, it's not super stark between this and up here where there's still graphite, but it is still a stark difference that I think is really cool. It's one of my favorite things about doing ink drawings is the part where you get to erase out your graphite lines and see how everything came together. Because I love how it shows different areas have different emphasis because of the way you've drawn the lines. It's really cool. Like there's spots in here that are really neat, like this part of the wing right there. There's some areas where it's just white because of where the lines were, and I went around those lines when I was inking. Also, these wings up here are gonna look smaller. Yeah, they look so cool without graphite.
Our perception of self. That way isn't necessarily
Get rid of all of that graphite on here, and then usually after I've done that, I realize, oh, there's a couple places where I need to like touch up some areas, add some darker outlines to things, so I'm gonna do that now with this pen. Just sort of add some outlines where there isn't any. I think I'm going to outline the character a bit more than I initially did. I went in with that little pen, and it works for some areas of this, but I think specifically some areas of the character need like a thicker line to really be read correctly. I find that usually you run into something like this with like faces and things that need like a little bit of emphasis to be able to be read right. So I'm not surprised that I need to add a bit more oomph to some places. So going to outline some areas where the edges aren't really clear. Let's see, what else do I need to add? I do think I probably need just a little tiny bit of an edge for these wings. Nothing too major, just an area that you can kind of see what's supposed to be there. Same up here. I don't want to fully outline it, but I do want to, show what's supposed to be there. Okay. And then last thing, I think I'm gonna add Posca pin stuff and add in some extra little details. Like I want to add in little eyes in places. And I'm going to color in some more stuff. So I can add Posca details to it later. Add in some other little things. Oh, there goes that. Alright. And I dropped a pen too. What time is it? 12:50. Alright, it's almost 1 o'clock. And I told myself I would be done with this by 2 o'clock. So I'm about an hour early, which is really good for me, which means that I'm getting done with this very, very quickly. Bodes well for the rest of the month where I'm gonna have to do these quicker. So that's nice. This was a really good test to see how long it would take me to get one of these done. But I think I'm gonna call this done here in a couple of minutes. I'll probably walk away from it and add a couple of things and then post it. But yeah, I think this is gonna be donezo for me. So I will show you what it looks like. I'm gonna rip it off of the thing. Well, I could probably just lift this to show the camera, but let me move this out of the way a bit so I can show you what this looks like. Hopefully I can get it close enough to the webcam for it to focus. No, it's not going to. All right. Well, in that case, hang on. I will rip this off and we will do it that way. easier that way too, so I can leave this in place. But yeah, that's gonna be day one. Day one completed. Every time I do like a month drawing challenge like this, I always stack the finished pieces together somewhere, and they do go up for sale. Usually only in-person sales. I usually don't have the time or resources to really ship them out, but for these ones I might do a shipping thing because they're going to be a deck later, so I might do like a specific, you know, shipped out version of them. But let me actually flip the webcam back so that you can see this easier. Let's go to properties on that camera there, and let's go flip. Please flip, please flip. Well, it's not gonna. Okay, let's try this again. There we go, flipped it back. So there's some of the testing things, but yeah, this is what it looks like. This is the finished version. It's a very cool image. I'm very happy with how it came out. Hopefully you can see that. I know this camera focus is real weird, but yeah, that's... Please focus. Please focus. Please do a focus. Please do a focus. Please. That's what I finished today. It's very cool. I'm probably gonna add some gold to it and some other stuff. But I kind of like it. I kind of like how it came out. It's very unique. Not something that I would normally draw, so I'm happy about that. I'm glad that the prompt was something that I wouldn't normally draw or normally do, so that's neat. But you'll be able to see this come out when it's done, like fully done on my Instagram. It'll probably go up on there, and the video will probably go up later in the week. Obviously the Twitch VOD is gonna be up as soon as it is done, but the like actual YouTube video with everything will probably be later in the week, if not next month. Who knows? Depending on how long it takes me to edit everything and how long it takes me to finish all of these. I'm gonna do some little last minute things here that I'm noticing that I want to add. And then I'm gonna call this done, because I have to be done, because I have to do commissions before I go to work. This was fun, and it's fun to be back on streaming again. It's fun to be on the internet once again. It has been far too long. I have missed being here. I have missed streaming. I missed everything. So I'm glad to be back. Should be more fun stuff to do in the next couple of months with drawing challenges for this month, and then different drawing challenge for next month, and a bunch of other fun things to do on stream. Commissions. Oh, Handbasket is coming back. Pretty much everything that I used to do on stream is coming back, with some added new stuff as well, now that I have my schedule back in order. And yes, streaming will probably continue to be in the mornings. Mornings my time. I'm on Eastern Standard. So, but yeah, streaming will probably continue to remain mornings, because it's the only time of day where I'm not at risk to be called into work. I do have like afternoons and evenings that I have off, like certain days that I have off, but they're not guaranteed days. It's a really weird setup, I guess, but it's basically like any day of the week that the place is open, I am likely to be called. So for the rest of October, it's going to be once a day, most likely in the morning. I'm going to be doing Inktober stuff. If I'm not on stream for whatever day, I will let people know on Twitter. But I will be here doing Drawtober, Inktober, whatever you want to call it, once a day. And then once I figure out my streaming schedule for the rest of the months, I will post that. I'll put it up, but for now, this is probably going to be it. I want to add a couple more little like eyes and different things in here, because I wanted these to be like little birds, and they kind of just look like a mass of wings, which I don't hate, but I wanted them to look like little birds, so I'm going to make them look a little more like birds. I know it's upside down right now, so you can't see what I'm doing, but stream is over anyway. I'm just doing final stuff. Yeah, that's it. Stream's over. Get out. Leave. No. Thanks for being here. Thanks for hanging out while I did this. If you dropped in for any moment of time, if you threw me a follow, if you weren't here but you said you were here or whatever, for whatever reason, just thanks for being around. I know that my streams are really casual and not very out there. There's not a lot of like craziness to watch. It's literally just me drawing. It's literally just chill times, chill vibes. But it means a lot that people, come and hang out with me. That's all I can ask for. That's all I really wanted when I started streaming. I just wanted accountability, which was, so that I would draw, because I was not drawing for years because of trauma. But I wanted some accountability to make myself do work, and I wanted to have friends. So both of those things happen. I'm happy with it. I'm gonna add some final little touches to this piece and then call it the end of the day. So that's my take on a Vizier, I don't know how to say it, but D&D deck of many things person. This is my take on it. Anyway, gonna add some little dots to that. Yeah, this is the end of it. I might add some color to this. If I do, it'll be up on the social medias, and feel free to follow me on social medias as well as here on Twitch, as well as anywhere else. It should all be linked below. If it is not, you can feel free to message me. I will let you know where you can find me. It's not hard. It's mostly just my name. I also have a website, which is going under construction in the next couple of weeks, to put up some new stuff for sale in the shop. And to get stuff ready for the release of some really fun stuff coming soon. So I am going to call it the end here. We have just hit 1 p.m., which means I think for the foreseeable future, my daily streams will be 10 to 1. I might stream later to do like actual digital drawing if I have the day off. I don't have the day off today, so that's not going to be today. But on days where I do have the day off, I might do a late stream, just to do work, get work done, all that stuff. So anyway, if you were here, thanks for being around. I'm going to call it out. Good night, morning, evening. What is it? It's afternoon. Good afternoon. That's the word I was looking for. Good afternoon, and I hope everyone has a wonderful October. I'm super excited. Can't wait for the rest of the month. See you guys.